and transform the communities that we live, work, and play in, one relationship at a time.
All right, first off, I want to again thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. We call this series or these segments Real Estate 101, all right? And so for the most part, that's our play on 101, meaning a basic education, but it's a one-on-one conversation. And so my goal has been to talk to as many people as I can, time-wise that I have, to give people that are looking to get in the industry, people that are in the industry, more perspective, right? I feel like the more we collaborate and share ideas and things like that, the more we grow, the more creative we are, the more solutions that we can actually deploy out in the market. And right now, when you talk about real estate or the industry as a whole, there's a lot of different players, and I don't feel like we're working together at times. So this is just me trying to do my part, and I appreciate it. So first off, Giahanna Bridges,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we haven't met before, right?
Right.
And it's pretty typical in this industry. So if you could give me, a little bit of backdrop to who Giahanna is.
Okay. I'm a native of Jackson, Mississippi. I'm a graduate of Jackson State University. I received my bachelor's in political science in 2015, and then I returned in 2016 to get my master's in urban and regional planning with a concentration in community and housing development.
At Jackson State.
At Jackson State, the Jackson State University.
I'm sorry, the Jackson State. I didn't know Jackson State had a urban planning program.
We do. Actually, does that degree back there say Texas Southern University?
It does. It does.
I know you all have a program there, and one of my professors, she actually got her PhD from TSU in planning.
Who is your professor?
Her name is Talia Thomas.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. She's probably long before me. But both myself and my wife, we graduated with our masters in urban planning and environmental policy.
Okay.
So we got a little bit of the regional planning, but ours was more definitely still policy focused, but a little different perspective. So now Jackson State has been pretty popular lately, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say Jackson State as a whole.
Okay.
I would say a certain person was very popular, and they kind of snuck Jackson State in because they were employed there. I will say that.
So this is inside information. For us from the outside, we feel like Jackson State really got a lot of pub, but I say that from a standpoint of when we talk about Jackson State and you being out there, you being a urban planner, right? Jackson State, from my understanding, not Jackson State, but Jackson, the city of Jackson, could use a lot more insight from the urban planning perspective, right?
We definitely could. That's one of the things I spoke about when I was a graduate student. I don't think the city of Jackson really utilized the program that Jackson State offers, even though the actual campus for urban and regional planning is literally 2 blocks over from City Hall. No one ever comes and talk to us about different ideas we have. They don't offer internship. At least when I was there, they didn't offer internships. They didn't come talk to us. They didn't ask us to do any type of research or anything like that. They didn't make it an open door policy, knowing that we had such serious issues going on in the city.
So you've been in the industry then from an urban planning focus, you said since 2015, did you say?
Well, 2016 is when I started the master's program. And then I started working in a career field in 2019 after I graduated in December of 2018. So about 4 years or so.
Okay, so you got some years under your belt. Kind of tell me, like, what is urban planning? Let me ask this. What was urban planning going in? What was your thought of it going in versus what you see it as now?
Honestly speaking, I thought it was a field for rich white people. I say that because I was driving down a street called Ferry Street. It was a district for African Americans doing segregation to own their own businesses and different industries. And we've had several contractors that the city has tried to utilize to revitalize that particular area. So I was driving down the street telling mom, hey, mama, we can put this here, we can put that here. And she was like, City of Jackson State got something like that. I was like, nah, you got to be rich and white to do some type of development. So we really had a good laugh. She was like, I think somebody I know is a professor in that department. So that's what it was kind of like to me. I thought it was for rich white people, because generally when you see people on TV that's talking about planning, they don't look like myself. So it was a very eye-opening when I entered the program, because I didn't know anything about it.
Is that one of the things that drove you to get into urban planning because of representation? Did that
Yes.
factor into it?
Yes.
So how do you feel now from graduating 4 years later, like the representation of, Black, other people of color in urban planning? You feel like it's changed much?
Absolutely not. Honestly speaking, last week was the first time in my 4-year career that I had a Black supervisor, like a direct supervisor. I've never had one. They never look like me. Oftentimes, I'm the first Black planner. Like when I worked in Monroe, I was the first African American planner that they ever had. I was the first female, and I was the youngest. So literally, no diversity at all. And when I meet other Black planners, I am shocked.
Okay, no, congrats to that. That's a ceiling that has to be broken. Why you feel like that's important though?
I feel as though it's important because our communities are always overlooked when it comes to getting the things that we need. We're always the last to know about certain things, and a lot of us don't even know what urban planning is to even know to come out to the meetings and let our voice be heard. By the time we know about it, they've already did studies to put an interstate. They already knocked down houses. We don't know until the very end. So I think that if somebody that looks like me, that does not speak planning jargon, because my grandma is not going to know about a comprehensive study. She's not going to know what that is. But if I say it's a study that's going to improve the city over time, and we want your input about your neighborhood, then she understands. So I just think I can speak AAVE and I can speak professionally, but I can get down on people that look like me on our level and really get them involved to improve our community.
And so like, I agree with you. I feel like that's becoming more and more important. I was telling somebody earlier that the Urban Land Institute, I believe last year, did a survey of their like commercial, most of the folks there are commercial. And they said that they admit that the way that they've been developing has been harmful on some level to the communities that they've been in. And they want to figure out like, how can they do things differently? And then you fast forward, I think I looked at their upcoming conference, and I was surprised and happily shocked to see that one of the classes was on community engagement and research. And so I thought that was a big shift. And it's probably going to be a big window for more Black planners of color, because of what you said. There is a different insight, there is a different perspective that needs to be included to connect the dots to the money, to the policy, and everything else. Now, you touched on a little bit about urban planning. You talked about some of the things that we do, but from your perspective, kind of like for people that don't know, what specifically is urban planning? Because it's I feel like it's a lot of things. So like, how do you define it?
To me, it's different policies to improve your neighborhood or improve your city. That's a simple form that I can do it. That I can say it. Just creating policies and plans to improve the city and develop it.
So I and that's the last part you said, to develop it. So I asked that because So I have my degree in urban planning, but I'm also licensed as a real estate broker, right? And what I notice is that a lot of our developers, investors, even our lenders, like the people that I guess most people associate with the industry, don't really know who's making the rules, right? Right. So you have urban planners that are a lot of times making the rules or enforcing them on some level, right? And so there's a lot of things going on there. I like to divide it into two pieces. Um, I like to call it, we have technical planning, which I feel like it's more policy, it's more research and things like that. And then I feel like we have tactical planning, right? And that's kind of like our guerrilla in a sense, like we're on the ground and we're gonna push the policy that way, right? And kind of bridge in the middle. So like that's I think what you said is a real succinct way of putting together those policies and things like that. So for you as a planner, you say you've been in the industry for about 4 years now. What have you been doing? What has been your focus?
Um, Pretty much drafting ordinances, working with developers, making sure that they develop their property the way that they should be, helping them create plan developments, people that's trying to open up new business or like certificates, occupancies, and things like that. And then also for a brief moment in time, I did do some plan review. Um,
Okay. So
and working on grants and doing a little bit of community engagement as well.
okay. So right now you're out, we're in Houston, you're out in the Dallas area. The role you're in now is it the same role you've been in?
No, I actually last week was my first week as the senior planner for Board of Adjustments. I received the promotion, so I'm doing something a little different. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm doing something a little different now.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Congrats to that too. You got a lot of accomplishments here just in a short number of years, man.
I try my best.
No, that's impressive. You talked about working with developers, right? You're doing these policies, working with developers. You know, there is this really symbiotic relationship, or should be, right? We're working with developers, not just push down. You know, we have to listen to them too, because they're out trying to follow the rules, and sometimes the rules don't always um, they don't always connect, right? To
Right.
what's practical sometimes. So what, I guess, in your time, what do you feel like has been in working with developers or working in this field has been like one of the hardest obstacles that you had to kind of manage or overcome?
Being a Black woman and them not wanting to listen to me or take my advice. A lot of the times they feel as though because of my gender and my race, I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about. So sometimes I have to keep reiterating, or if I go get a male to say the same thing that I just said, then they believe it. So my race and my gender, honestly speaking, has been the hardest in dealing with developers.
Two things you can't change.
Two things that I cannot change.
Wow. So like how I mean you mentioned kind of one way you're like, hey, sometimes I gotta go get a coworker or somebody else, but like right now you done moved up, so like folks have to see you. But like how do you feel like you've navigated that? You know, for other Black women that are aspiring to be or that are in that role and having that same issue, like I say, it sounds like you kind of had this trajectory. How have you navigated that?
Just basically tell them, hey, this what it is. You know, these are the setbacks. This is the plan development. You have to have an ally. So just reiterating what it is that they need to do. And then if it's some type of ordinance or anything like that, I provide them the proof of what was approved by council. And then I let them know, hey, if you have any questions, you can reach out to the city attorney or you can reach out to my supervisor. But as of today, right now, this is what you need to do, and standing firm on it and then saying it with a smile. I oftentimes tell people, if you say no with a smile, it may not be as bad. So that's the only way that I can navigate it. And then telling myself, you can't change your gender. You can't change your race. So just try a different approach. And so that has been my approach.
Have you had like supervisors and things like that have been supportive in that way? Kind of.
Maybe in my 4 years, I have probably had, let me see, at the city of Dallas, yes. The 2 supervisors that I've had, yes. And then not my direct supervisor in Monroe, but her supervisor was supportive. But other than that, absolutely not.
Wow. Man, that's so I'll say from an urban planning perspective, of course I'm a male, so there's some things I don't run into. And then I only was on the, I'll say, technical side for a short period before, I started our firm and became more, I would consider more private and consulting or whatever. So it's very different. I'm more so teaching people how to follow the rules instead of necessarily making them, or giving feedback to my colleagues in the industry so they can make the rules better. So is in your time, let me say, when you say you're dealing with some of these things, you're having some of these conflicts, you have to navigate these hurdles. Like, what's one? I like stories. So, like, what's one story you feel like you could share that it happened and you just was like, what the heck is going on? Like, what? Where you just, it kind of blew you back.
You want it from a developer? You want a developer story and a supervisor story, or you want me to choose which one?
Hey, you can tell me both. I'm curious.
Okay, from a supervisor standpoint, when I was in Monroe, I'm no longer there, so I can say it. When I was in Monroe, I had a supervisor, and later she told me that she felt as though I wanted her job. I did not, because I did not want to make Monroe my home. I was just there to build my resume, learn as much as I can, and then relocate somewhere else. A developer came in and he wanted to do a $7 million project. Monroe is a very small city. So the city needed that development for jobs and things of that sort. So I'm talking to the developer, I'm telling him, hey, it's zoned for this. This is the uses that you can do, or, this is the, just different things about it. And we're in there laughing. It was around Christmas time. So he was like, this would be my Christmas present to the city. And I'm like, yeah, the mayor, like, we really just vibing out, but I'm giving him information with it, good customer service.
Mm-hmm.
My supervisor walked by and it seemed like it angered her that we were in there, you know what I'm saying, really going up information, but laughing. So she walked in the middle of our conversation and she just stood there. So we both turned and we looked at her and then we looked at each other. So she was telling him, she was like, well, I'm the supervisor and you missed the deadline. And he was like, she already told me I missed the deadline. She already told me when the next, deadline is and how to submit and everything like that. We're going to pay. He was like, I understand I missed the deadline. You're going to have to pay for it. He was like, the money is not an issue. She told me that too. So everything that she's yelling at him about, I had already told him and he had no problem with it. And she don't know what she's doing. And he just let her go on. And he was like, are you finished? And she was like, yeah, I'm finished. She was like, I never want to work with you. He was like, I'm going to take my $7 million and I'm going to go to a new city. He was like, because
Wow.
you two say that about your staff. Now, mind you, I didn't even have to say nothing. I thought I was going to have to say something. I didn't even have to. I sat right there and I watched it. What I did not know, which it wouldn't have made any difference on the level of customer service that I provide, I did not know he had a close relationship with the mayor. In Louisiana, they didn't have city managers. The mayor was the person that made all the decisions, like a mayor council type of government. Before I got off work that day, he called the mayor and I went on a business trip with the mayor. I never spoke to the mayor prior to that day. He put me to the side. He was like, hello, how are you? And he was like, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. I was able to talk to the guy and he told me exactly what happened. He said, but unfortunately, he no longer want to work with Joanne. So I'm going to put you over that project because he said, you do know what you're talking about. So she went in my supervisor's office with both our supervisors and she was crying because the man was talking bad about her on the phone and he didn't know that she was in there, which it probably wouldn't have mattered, but he went on that long spiel and she was crying because he wanted to work with me and not her. So that's, and she continued to do that until I left, but horrible survivor.
That is a story. That is a story. And I feel like it definitely showcases how important that relationship is. Developer, planner, city, all those kind of things. I think it gets overlooked a lot. A lot of guys, especially in Houston, folks out here feel like it's the Wild Wild West. We do what we want. But it's not, right? Like you just see it, like somebody's coming to develop, they like, I don't even want to put my money here. Like that's major. That's major. Wow. That is a story.
And a developer, I don't really necessarily have a bad developer story because generally I can kind of get them what they need to
What
be.
about funny one? I'm pretty sure you got a funny story. In the planning field. I got plenty.
I don't have a funny story per se, but that was funny when that happened because I actually was laughing when he was going off on her. I was laughing and I really had tears coming out of my eyes when they were doing that. So I thought that was funny. You probably don't think it was, but I thought it was funny. But I don't necessarily have a funny story with the developer per se. Only thing I can say is that a lot of them have tried to talk to me disrespectfully, and I've had to, get them together quickly. But I don't necessarily have a funny story. Funny things have not happened to me in this field just yet. Not with developers.
Funny things.
You know what? No, I take that back. When I was working at this city, there was this guy that hold on just a second. I'm sorry. My baby's in here. Hold on 1 second.
Go ahead.
Go back in the room. I'm working. Okay, that's fine. Go back. I'll get you in a minute. Okay, I apologize about that. But it was this guy that liked me. And he would come up there every day and ask the same questions about his project, the same exact questions about his project. And I just thought that was kind of funny because, he would follow me, around in the parking lot and different things like that. And so my coworkers had to come up with funny ways of telling him I wasn't there, but I really was there. So we would kind of laugh and joke about that because they'll talk about, the people that's looking to buy a house, they gonna really love you. We gonna tell them, you the reason why they got their house because he liked you and he decided he was gonna, develop this particular
land. Huh?
Yeah, we laughed about that all the time. So we kind of thought that was funny. That was kind of like the running joke.
That's funny. I like the stories. I like stories because, it helps paint the picture for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to say this is what we do, but like to tell that story, it really paints a picture of like the hierarchy of things, right? Mm-hmm. The management of things, the importance of the relationship building with these different people to really make sure that what you're doing moves smoothly, right? That a planner is a resource, that a planner, and I really feel strongly on this, is a big part of the puzzle. And like I say again, I just feel like it gets overlooked so much. So I definitely, that's why I'm real appreciative that you even hop on and kind of share some of this stuff with me and with people that'll see this, because I think it's really important, especially when you talk about representation. I have 2 little girls. I don't know what there will be one day, but you never know who's looking and where it takes them. At least for me, when it came to urban planning, I really didn't know, and I find out a lot of my colleagues didn't really know what urban planning was, or that it existed. We all kind of found our way to it in some shape, form, or fashion. And so we want to make sure, at least from my perspective, that people don't have to look so hard anymore, right? Like you say, I didn't even know Jackson State had a program. That's cool, right? There's so many schools now that offer this as something, and it's a way to shape not just your community, but like, it's some of us that travel the country, right? We shaping other people's communities, and that's the way we live.
You know, it's a lot of HBCUs. Well, not a lot, but some that I've come to learn that has a program. Jackson State, Texas Southern, Alabama A&M, and Morgan State. Those are the only ones that I know with planning programs.
You made me do some research.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Prairie View has too.
PV, you're right. PV has one. So I know PV, TSU here is HBCUs, and then I think you know, of course you have some other colleges here in Texas that offer it. But again, you know, I look in some of the classroom. It's not like going to business school and it's 100 people in the room. It's a small group, and people don't understand this. It's this small group of people that's governing the way we live, literally.
You know, I've had this conversation with my grandma because she's like, why they take this from the city of Jackson? Why they do this and why they do that? And then I just let her go on, and I'm like, Grandma, have you gone to a, you know, planning commission meeting, or, you know, have you talked to the economic development team? I don't know what they do. So I have to explain it to her and say, you know, planners shape your lot size pretty much. They work with, you know, developers and architects to come up with your lot size. She didn't know what that was. I'm like, what your house sit on? I was like, it really shaped your school system, all of that too. I was like, planning, economic development. I was like, but we are not a part of that process until now. We have our complaints, and it's too late. So I had to tell her when they hold the planning and zoning commission meetings. And I was like, you know, if nothing is going around in your area, you're not going to get the notification, but you're more than welcome to go to the meetings. I mean,
it's all public.
It's all public. I'm like, Grandma, it's all public. And honestly speaking, the first time I went to a P&Z meeting, I was actually in the graduate program. I was the only person outside from the staff and the developers that was there.
Yeah.
The commission was just staring at me like I was just out of place. And it was like, do you know? I'm like, yeah, I'm here for a class assignment. It was like, we never have anyone at these meetings, but it was held in the daytime, number one. And a lot of people just didn't know about it. And again, the developers didn't look like me. And some of the commission members did not look like me, even though the majority of the city of Jackson looked like me.
So planners help shape the built environment.
Yep.
And the built environment influences how we live and our quality of life. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned a couple of things there that we can be proactive in doing to help be a part of that discussion. But like, what else, like any other advice or tips you feel like are important? Not just maybe to like people that want to be a part of the process, but even folks that want to be planners one day or get in the industry in that way.
As far as, I'm gonna speak to the people that want to be planners first. Don't get discouraged. Because I got discouraged right after I graduated from Jackson State. It was very hard for me to get into the field. I actually got in as a permit clerk. And I had to relocate to another city so that I can get the official title of planner. And then a lot of the times you may have a supervisor, may work on a team that they don't train you. So you pretty much have to train yourself on how to do it. So just don't get discouraged. You know, keep exploring other options. Try to find other planners that maybe look like you. Reach out to some of the alumni that graduated from your school. Get your professors to connect you with different people. That's what I did. And I attribute, you know, my success with doing those things, not getting discouraged, and try to use my resources and jumping on calls like this. Anytime that somebody say they need a planner to speak about different things and I see it, I'm gonna speak about it because I know what it's like to be fresh in something and nobody want to give you a chance and you don't know how to talk to the right people. And when you do talk to them, you know, they kind of look at you like, okay, I can't help you because you didn't go to the school I want you to go to, or you don't have the look. You know, I got that some of the times I didn't have the look. So just don't get discouraged.
Okay. That's good, because it is a tight market. And I think a lot of times when folks coming in, at least I know in our program, we were talking about this today, we're getting trained, but most of us left thinking that the only place we actually could work was for a city. But as a planner, because it's this interdisciplinary study, you really can do a lot of other things with it. You know, you take folks like, you know, my wife, she's more on the communication side of things. Well, someone has to articulate these concepts and things like that to other leaders, other decision makers, for instance. You have folks that are working in the private side, and they're helping developers like myself navigate these things, so we have more success in what's going on. So there's, to your point, there's a lot of avenues to explore, and I agree.
Hospitals too.
Hospitals,
Hospitals,
schools,
schools, you know.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of other avenues to explore outside of just the city. So I appreciate that. That's helpful. Hopefully that helps somebody that hears this. So, but you know, I won't hold it up too long. I think what you shared is definitely what I'm looking for in having these conversations. Um, is real authentic. I appreciate that. You like, hey, this what it is. I'm gonna give it to you, and I love it. So I'm gonna stop there. I want to talk to you for a second, but I'm gonna stop right here for a second. For those that see this, I want you to, you know, if you have questions for Gianna, you know, how can they reach you?
LinkedIn. I try to stay active on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, I can direct you to different resources. I can try to connect you with different people. I'm an open book. Please ask me as many questions as you can, so that you can, get a good step into your career field.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that, Gianna. You guys, if it's other professions in the real estate industry, other people specifically that you feel like you want to hear from, definitely reach out to me. Hopefully, you guys know where to find me, at Jason T. Hyman, pretty much on all my personal profiles. I'm pretty much on every social media platform. I'm fairly active. Let me say that. I'm fairly active. And you can always reach out to my office at Not Just an Agent HTX. And we'll talk next time.